Okay, welcome social media marketing students to our fourth video now, where today we're going to be diving into the ad section of Business Manager. This is the final tier of Ads Manager where we actually design what shows up on someone's screen when they go into Facebook or Instagram, and where we design the actual ad, which it is very important, but in my opinion, again, as I said in our last video, I believe ad set is the most important section because I would much rather have the worst designed ad in the world be sent to a correct audience than the best ad on the planet delivered to the incorrect audience, right? So here we have our ad set section again. Just to review, we have our audience. So I guess for this example, we're assuming that we're working for a women's clothing brand. Let's just go with that. So we're targeting that, and that business is located in Idaho. Ages of 18 to 40, female with interests in boutiques or women's clothing, based on our $30 per day budget, placed only in Facebook and Instagram feeds on all device types. With only connected to Wi-Fi, this estimates a potential reach of 180,000 people, between 2,000 and 7,000 reach a day. That's actually really good. And those link clicks are a really good estimate as well. So let's go with that and move on to the ad section. So you go down here, click continue. Okay, now this is the ads editor right here. And Facebook has changed this interface a lot over the years, and I think this looks pretty sleek. So first things first, again, I am a stickler for organization, so we're going to call this, let's just say women's dress ad 1. Let's just assume our ad's for a dress. Now I'm going to walk you through the process of actually designing a Facebook ad. It is not as complicated as you might think it is. It really isn't. It's not a big deal. So here you'll see you have two options. You can use an existing post, if you so choose, from the accounts you have access to, and make that an ad. You can do that. It's a really effective way to take a already high converting or high engaging post and turn it into an ad if you so desire. But for the purposes of demonstration, we're going to walk through creating one from scratch. So first you pick the page you want to represent. These are clients that I'm a part of. I mean, this is why it shows up here. When you guys have your own client, it'll show up there. But for the time being, let's just use that as an example or whatever. I wish I had a different page here, a clothing one. I do have one, but I don't know why it's not showing up. Anyways, so you can choose the format, carousel, single image video, or collection. In my opinion, you only ever use, honestly, you would, 60% of the time, the slight majority, you're going to want to use a single image or video. You just do. I've never used a collection ad, ever. It's very, you have to have a certain type of ad that's designed in a very certain type of way to be able to flow conversions through it. Most times you're not going to want to do that because there's going to be so much testing involved with your ads, you don't have the time to redesign this type of ad over and over and over again. Carousel is interesting because it allows you to do, so if you're releasing a bunch of products at once, you can show them all here. There's a trade-off, right? It's harder to see individual products. It just depends what suits whatever you're trying to advertise for. Typically, with a carousel, you would never advertise like a service-based business in a carousel ad. I mean, I've seen it done, but it's very rare because ideally the carousel, it looks like this. Watch, click on carousel. You have different cards that people can swipe through and click individual call to action buttons. So right, if I have clothing item 1, clothing item 2, clothing item 3, I can click on each of these buttons and it'll take me to the purchase page for those items. You see what I'm saying? So that it can help splice products and drive conversions. Because, for example, someone looking at your ad might not like that particular dress you're trying to sell. They might like the one on the second slide, but it just helps increase your odds. But again, only certain types of situations really merit it. Single image or video is where you most likely want to go. So we're going to walk through that for now. So first things first, pick your media. Videos work incredibly well. In my opinion, if you have a video, I would go with that first. And a big question I get all the time is like, where do you get content from? Like, where do you get these pictures, images? Like, how do you design or where do you source all the stuff that gets seen, right? And there's a variety of ways you can do it, most of which and all of which should be free. If you're paying for content outside of videos do cost and you got to hire someone to make them. But for photos, you can get photos basically anywhere for free, ones that you can use. So for the purposes of this, we're going to go to Google. Now you might, because we don't have any images for now. This is one of my favorite sources. You might be saying Google, but like we can't use those pictures because people those are companies' photos, and we can't use them because it's their copyright or whatever. Here's what we can do. First off, if you actually credit the source of the image, technically you can use whatever you want. For the purposes of this, I'm going to show you how I get images. Go to images, right? Okay, let's search for, since that was a dress ad that we're making, let's look for women's dress, right? Bunch of pictures, right? Now, again, with this particular product, your client probably should have a bunch of pictures of their dresses. But for the purposes of demonstration, I'm going to show you what the little trick I use to get pictures off Google. You go over here to Tools, go to Usage Rights. Here, Google will filter all of what the search results will give you based on what the person who put it out wants to do with it. So, click Labeled for Reuse. These are dresses and people that have put images out that they don't care if you use it in their stuff. They couldn't care less. It's labeled for reuse. Wide variety of images, right? So for example, let's say I was advertising a beach or like a beach resort, right? In Cancun or whatever. There's a lot of really good pictures of beaches that I can use for free without paying for anything, right? Just remember, label for reuse. It's a magical tool. Okay. Now, a big deal on Facebook is image sizes. So we're going to go back to women's dress. Facebook is huge on image sizing. They have a very particular pixel count. I think it's 400 by 180, something like that. And they will not allow you to put certain pictures in there if it doesn't fit. So let's just say, what's a good one? Let's go with, no, it's too wide, it won't fit. Let's go with that one. Why not? It looks cool. Maybe we're trying to sell a really, really expensive dress. Okay, download the image, drag it up here. I don't want to leave my site. Okay, hang on. Just go to my downloads and get it. Sometimes it doesn't let me do that. Hang on, I'm just gonna find this is so cluttered. Images. $11. There we go. Great. See, comes up here. Lovely. See, this is their image recommendations. Yeah, recommendations, some like rules. But you can now customize the image size by where you want to place it. Another cool tool you can do. And so, I don't know why it's not showing up here. But, hang on, let me just reload the page. If that makes a difference. Go to continue. Sorry for our slight delay. Oh, see, look, this image is too small. It's not letting me. Let's just use this one. It's one I use for an old ad. It's for cookies. Let's just say it's for cookies. Anyway, so there's an image, right? And let's say the website URL, I'm just going to pick this random one. It's a client one, doesn't matter. Anyway, so this is the ad editor down here. So we have our image that we've picked, right? I got this one from my client. We'll just use it, it fits. Anyway, so we'll type text, right? Now, if you want my honest opinion with writing ad text on Facebook, I kind of break it down like this. First thing, you need a strong headline. Technically, a headline is here. But in I call the headline the first thing they see. So, because we're targeting Idaho women who are interested in clothes, I would say, in all caps, this is just my personal style. Attention, Idaho women. Right? Call out. Always call out location and interest if you can. Right? And then you could type whatever else you want, you know, so-and-so business is doing a 40% off sale all weekend long. Get your favorite dresses and new releases here today, right? My personal style is I use caps to emphasize call to actions and timing. I don't know if I'd say Idaho women. I'd probably say Idaho fashion enthusiasts. Enthusiasts, right? Wait a minute. Enthusiasts. There we go. See? Now, typically, depending on what you're advertising, there are certain suggested lengths for ad text. The only time you really want long ad text is if what you're promoting requires a lot of explanation. So for example, when I do recruiting for businesses, that requires explanation because I have to say, here's the job, here's what it pays, here's your benefits, here's what we need you to have, you know, experience-wise. With product, you want to keep it relatively short. I think the standard is like 100, it's like 40 or 50 characters or less or something like that, like a sentence or two, max. So keep it short, by and large. With clothing especially, always keep clothing short. Your words are not going to sell clothing. The picture of the clothing is going to sell clothing, not what you say about it. So keep that in mind. You designate the URL that you want them to go to once they click on that button. And then your headline, right? So we'll say 40% off. Or actually, we'll emphasize this weekend only, right? Always use urgency. This is just a basic advertising concept. And copywriting, you'll learn more about it in your further marketing classes, but for the purposes of this, just think urgency, calling out locations and interests in your headline, and keeping it short, sweet, and concise, depending on what you're promoting. Okay? Pick the call to action. Obviously, want them to buy something. We're going to pick shop now. I don't really want to learn more about the dress. I want to go buy it or I don't. It's pretty cut and dry. Newsfeed link description, this is just the little text below down here so I can say, you know, awesome dresses, awesome prices, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Does it show up there? Or is that the display link? Hold on. Oh, I guess they've changed that. Usually it should show up down here, but regardless, it's fine. So this is basically how this gets designed. Now, a cool thing, you can change how you see it depending on where you're showing the ad. So since we only have feeds activated, we have desktop news feed. So this is what it's going to look like on Facebook desktop. You can crop the image here, move the box around. It only shows the amount of pixels that you have for space. Ooh, pro tip. This is a pro tip. Facebook. Okay, the way that Facebook delivers ads, I don't know, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with auction style advertising yet, but essentially it's a bidding system. Facebook looks at how much you're willing to pay based on your budget for the particular audience that you want. Based on that, it will deliver your ad relative to how well you rank in the bidding system. And so, because of that, there's a lot of factors that influence where they deliver your ads, one of which is image text. Facebook does not like you to have a lot of text in your images because it defeats the purpose of their limits on how much you can write in this box. There's only so much you can write here before it goes to see more. You can write a lot, like a ton, but it'll say see more. The amount that you can write in this text box without having a see more button is like, I think it's 3 lines, 3 spaces, 3 separate paragraphs worth of lines. In order to get around that, people have just thought, oh, I'll put words in my image. So that way, Facebook won't be able, I can get around the rules, right? Well, Facebook recognizes images in ad text. In fact, they don't even let you put more than 20% of your image being text. I would recommend none. None. 0. Unless you're a well-established brand and it's different for you. If you're an up-and-coming brand or a small business, I would certainly avoid image ad text. So there it is. See, it showed up down here. There we go. Right there, news link description. This is essentially basic Facebook ad design. This is the editor where it happens. This is where you set it up. And there's pixel options down here. We'll get into that later, and app events, offline events. But for now, this is essentially how you design a Facebook ad. And for carousel, all you do is what you did down here, but just click the 1, 2, 3 here. You'll design it here, right? Oh, actually, no, you won't design it in the same thing. You'll click carousel, right? You'll do all the designs you did in the single image, but you'll just have to do it again on the second and on the third. It's the same concept, you just do it again. It's really simple. The key is testing, refining, switching words, switching images, changing targeting. That's where Facebook ads gets more complicated, because it's not about doing anybody can make an ad set in an ad and run it. It's not a big deal. Truly, it's not, right? It's about refining and testing, okay? Anyways, and what you'll do is you'll do confirm, and then it'll confirm what you want to do. I'm not going to enter because we're not running this ad, so you'll enter a payment method. If it's for a client, you'll enter their card information, or PayPal, or whatever it is, and continue. Then Facebook goes through an approval process, and it will send you a notification when your ad has been approved. I don't know if I got one recently. I should have. I'll show you what one looks like. Anyways, it'll come up here. It'll tell you your ad's been approved, and it'll start running. And that's it, guys. Moving forward, we're going to get into more pixels, custom, we're going to get into really audience creation, how that really happens, and understanding what's at work behind interest-based targeting, and that's really what we're going to hit into next time. But for now, you now have all the tools you need. Campaign, actually ad account, campaign, ad set, and ad. You now have all the tools necessary to be able to run, to set up, and run pretty effective Facebook ads at a basic level. It's really not that hard. Just get out there and test it. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. See you in the next video.